Hi guys, day 2 of my 90-day NDA on talking about some of the things I found important and may help some of you guys. So today, I spoke yesterday about how you do anything is how you do everything and how I see that, and that's basically why that would help you is to make sure that you don't have that overload that you think you need to do everything perfectly, and it's the things that you care about and important to you that you should be expending your energy on. But with that, I'd like to talk about something else, which is basically a to-do list. Something that I use because I've got ADHD, so I've got to make sure that things I do concentrate on are actually important to me, and that means that I do make sure I stop doing the shit that is of no use to myself. So I'll tell you a quick story. It's probably the simplest way of demonstrating it. That would be a story about James. Okay, he's an engineer. I guess he was sort of in his late 20s when I saw him, and he was in work at 6:30 in the morning. His desk was full of stuff, papers stacked up. He had 6 screens in front of him, more or less cocooned inside a small arch of about 6 screens, which all had files and folders all over the place. And he was tapping his foot, which is a common thing that people with ADHD do, or they tap something on a desk like this all the time without actually noticing. And I must admit, even these days, rarely, I still do myself. Anyway, I turned around and said, I didn't ask him how he was, I asked him how he was feeling, and he nearly burst into tears. Poor guy. And I said to him, okay, what's going on? What's up? And he and his then wife, they were just about to have a daughter. She was not doing too well, and they were in the middle of a very big project. So he was coming in, and he had a travel time of about 2 hours to get into work, another two to get back, and wasn't spending much time with his wife-to-be, and their daughter, or wanted to spend more time with the daughter, as it turned out. And I just sat down and asked him some questions. I said, look, what is the most important thing? What in reality is hurting you at the moment? Just 3 things. And he said, I'm not getting enough sleep, I'm not at home enough, I'm not getting the stuff that I'm going to be doing for work done. And I said, okay, right, let's take everything off your virtual desktop and off your desk, put it on another desk. So we dumped everything that was on his virtual desktop in one folder with all the structure it had, just as it stood. So it was completely empty. And took all the shit off his desk, moved it behind him, and said, okay, now of all of that stuff, pick one thing that you want to get done today. You've got another 2.5 hours before anybody comes in, so sit down and pick that one thing. We turned off all of the notifications on his phone, turned off everything that was on his desk phone as well. We actually redirected it until 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, and made sure that he didn't read any of his email or anything like that. And we did that in total for about 6 or 7 weeks. And at some point, he was still looking fairly stressed, and I said, okay, so obviously he was happy about his work, he was slowly getting it done. I said, so what else is going on? I said, well, I want to spend more time at home. I said, great, okay, so, because obviously we're going to become a family. He was looking for a place, and it was out in the sticks because they wanted space, a garden, and the rest of the stuff. And I said, okay, so you told me a few weeks ago that it was important to you that you have spent time with you and your family, with your wife. So how's that going to work if you're spending 4 hours a day traveling? And what's that cost you? And he said, good point. I think it was something like £8,000. So that's about $9,000 thereabouts every month, every year. And I said, okay, so if that's the case, why don't you look for a place that's closer to work? Or look for another place. Go work somewhere else. What you're doing, you can do somewhere else. Or maybe you think you can't, but you're good at what you're doing. You're already successful. You don't need to do this here. You could do it somewhere else. Now, I loved what he was doing where he was. So 2 or 3 weeks later, it turned out they found a place that was 15 minutes away from the office. His wife could actually bring his little daughter downstairs, and we could all play with her when we went out for lunch, which was really nice. And he got a lot happier. And I basically then said to us, okay, so you need to make sure that everything that's on your to-don't list is don't do the shit that's not important to you. So the things that you've mentioned to me over the last few weeks, keep them in mind, write them up. Everything that's not on that list, don't do it. Anyway, that's it for every day. As always, it's sponsored by Leaderstribe.tv. If you want to see where I get these things, so obviously not the personal stuff that I've experienced, but the actual books and science that comes with some of the things that I'm talking about, I'll mention it in the blogs. So if you go to leaderstribe.tv/blogs, you'll see those in the days to come. Okay? And with that, have a good day. I love you. And that's my Saturday. It's the day off, actually. So and you can hear people working in the background. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you later. Bye-bye. How's this going?